I was trying to beat a cool fan-made Pokemon fighting game. This game features up to 9 playable Pokemon with their own unique combinations of attacks and special moves. For better viewing, this video is accompanied by a pretty cool animation. The game starts with Machop waving his hand and choosing solo or versus mode. I choose solo because I have no one to play with. We're thrown into fighter selection. There are 9 in total: Blaziken, Primeape, Toxicroak, Beware, Heracross, Meancheo, Chestnut, Phalanx, and the final Great Tusk that was added just recently. I chose Heracross because he is a very cute Pokemon. Each Pokemon here has its own attack combinations, but I didn't memorize anything because it's hard on my brain. There are 3 modes in the single-player game: the Path, Arcade Mode, and Training Mode. The Path, the Pokemon version of the tournament that every fighting game has. I think we can do without the training. Our first opponent is the Phalanx. He attacks with his troop or whatever it is. I don't know all the Pokemon, so ignore it. In the first battle, I had mastered the controls, but I still defeated my opponent. In fact, this one has a lot of groovy post-victory animations, many references to iconic moments. I won, but it was just a warm-up for the real fight. The next opponent is Blaziken. I think in a real fight, Blaziken would just do a fire-type attacks on me, and Heracross would die. But I think you can only use fighting-type attacks here. Okay, let's say Heracross has a level advantage. By that fight, I had kind of gotten the hang of the controls and learned how to do a series of strikes. And that's why I had half my health left in the first round. But then I was beaten twice. If anything, there are an infinite number of attempts, so you don't have to worry if you don't pass the first time. I tried to learn some moves, but I wasn't good at fighting. On my second try, I almost lost, but I was able to overwhelm him with a fraction of his health by spamming him with attacks. Already the next opponent was a real pain in the ass for me. Beware is next. From now on, I won't be able to attack comfortably. He kept getting takedowns and trying to beat me up by pushing me against the wall, so I was losing. Lost many times, sometimes dry, but in the end, I decided to use a tactic called "Don't let him get close." I ended up losing 4 times, but I still beat him. Next up is Chestnut. Chestnut turned out to be analogous to those giants who carry a small crawler on their backs, sort of like Farah and Tor from Mortal Kombat, except he has Chasepin on his back. During the fight, it will give him some fruit that might give a buff to the character, but I don't know because I defeated it easily. The next one is Meancheo. During the battle, he will attack us with his hands, using them as a whip. I only lost to him once, so let's not focus on him. Next up is Toxicroak. It's really not that complicated. I killed him with constant downward jerks because he keeps spitting poison. He can also release balloons that make us float in the air. You know, the rain analog from Mortal Kombat. The next opponent is very difficult, and it's Primeape. During battle, he'll use grabs and rush attacks all the time. Once he gets pissed off, there's no stopping him. We were even all the time. I was winning, and then he was winning. I thought about giving up and resting, but I figured I'd do it all at once. I lost to him 5 times, but I won in the end. Next, we have Great Tusk. If I found Primeape a little difficult, Great Tusk is one hell of a Pokemon. Great Tusk is the local equivalent of Goro, Kintaro, and Motaro. He uses Earthquake and a very strong uppercut. It can also roll, creating rocks that hit us, and then do good in the form of falling rocks. This fighter teaches us not to hit randomly, but to plan our timing and stick to our tactics. For example, he'll often ram into the gap and push us against the wall. He will often use Earthquake and roll to create rocks. After 3 losses, I managed to win 1 round, but it wasn't enough. And finally, after 7 losses, I was able to beat him. And after all that, we see the final splash screen with a happy ending. Heracross wants to suck Bulbasaur again, and everyone is happy, except Bulbasaur.